Lord Ashcroft, you teared up a bit today. You look very emotional at what happened.
Well,
today.
it's like anything else in life, where something means a lot to you, and especially when the catalyst for that has been when you're a 10-year-old boy.
Hearing what your dad did.
Yeah. So, and this is such a nice story in which there's been a win-win for everyone.
It was lovely to hear Les say, wasn't it, that he was happy about where his medals and his logbooks were going to end up next to this craft.
Oh, well, you know, sometimes in life when you do something, you get the dynamics right, and then there follow through more consequences to it that you hadn't envisaged at the time. You know, and one of those, of course, is now the travelling exhibition that MOTAT want to do around New Zealand to bring the exploits of people like Les to a wider audience, and the contribution that your country made to World War II may never be forgotten.
What were your feelings seeing all those old Bomber Command lads together?
Well, I met quite a few of them when we actually opened the Bomber Command Memorial in London a few years ago, where we had 7 members of the royal family turn up for it. And we gently ensured that the politicians were seated at the back somewhere and didn't jump to the front to have a reflected glory after not helping at all.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, was there a plan B if where would we be without you? And I didn't get a chance to ask the Prime Minister, would we have let this the bad outcome happen as a country and a government without your generosity?
Well, I'd prefer not to linger on that, because that then becomes hypothetical and starts to take away from the win-win that everyone has had today. So sometimes going back over post-mortems spoils the event, so let's not reflect on that.
I wanted to ask you too, we're 10 days away from Anzac Day, an incredibly significant day for New Zealand and Australia. Do you have plans for Anzac Day? Are you taking part in anything formal or official?
No, I am. I went to Gallipoli a few years ago and hired one of the best historians to actually show me around. Because in fact there were 6 Victoria Crosses. It was called the 6 VCs before breakfast. And in my collection I have 3 of those Gallipoli Victoria Crosses. So I wanted to go back to the beach and the landings and see where those guys earned their Victoria Cross. And so the military historian was able to show me not only from the Allied landing side, but he then took me around and showed me the perspective from the Turkish side, where in fact the commander of the Turkish army said, "I did not ask you to fight for Turkey, I asked you to die for Turkey."
Well, yeah. Another question, because of your personal interest and very much the story you told today, history is an interesting thing, and I think often history stays alive as long as we have a personal link. 100 years since Gallipoli, and no veterans left in New Zealand, no people who served there. Do you think we kind of wrap up or forget about our war history? Is the Second World War now going to become, to a new generation, what the First World War was? How do we keep that alive?
Well, history is always a moving target. We sometimes forget that we're living in a period of time now which one day will be history. So it is a moving chapter. And of course now it's the centenary of World War I. So we're living month by month, year by year, the events of that great war. And certainly the same thing will happen once time goes on, and when we get to 2039 to 2045, those centenaries will happen again. And the stories of people like those in Bomber Command, because by then the same thing will have happened after 100 years. And there'll then be a reanalysis of all the events of the Second World War.
Well, thank you for doing your part for keeping our history alive
absolutely
and accessible to us too.
Absolutely
Lord
delighted.
Ashcroft.
Take care.
Thank you.